While the world is being captivated by young thugs' jail calls being magically leaked, many of us are watching the domino effect of distractions on display. It's always a trend to sample R. Kelly's music and even give credit to the legacy that can't be manipulated by allegations against him. Yet few are bold enough to speak on the clear miscarriage of justice that you didn't see R. Kelly reacting in the manner young thug would like to excuse revolving his case. Just imagine the levels of betrayal that Kelly had to endure while being silenced and pushed in a cell, depending on people to vindicate him from his wrongful convictions, but instead yet again being let down and pushed right into solitary confinement due to the claims made by his current defense team, who is now missing in action. Stay tuned and let's break through the propaganda surrounding R. Kelly's lawsuit against Tasha K. and the BOP that is now at risk of being dismissed due to the lack of work being put in by Bo Brintley. After making such a public spectacle of the real concerns Kelly has expressed to those giving all the interviews, who clearly did not care how deep the corruption went involving his case, and the leaks that led to key witnesses cooperating with janky prosecutors and shakedown con artists.
His attorney, Bo Brintley, claimed that while in the hole, Kelly was given his usual meds for anxiety and sleep, but was told by prison staff to take an additional dose provided by them. The next morning brought the terrifying symptoms that would land him in the hospital fighting for his life.
He was taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital because they tried to take him to the hospital inside of or associated with the facility that he's in, but they couldn't help him.
At Duke University Hospital, the medical situation became even more alarming. Hospital tests allegedly revealed an overdose of blood pressure and anxiety medications in life-threatening amounts, along with blood clots in both legs and lungs. Conditions Kelly's team said came from BOP taking him off blood thinners despite his medical history. The discovery of blood clots was particularly significant, as these conditions can straight kill you if left untreated. Doctors recommended a 7-day hospital stay and surgery for the clots, but according to Kelly's legal team, this medical recommendation would be ignored in favor of what they characterized as a cover-up.
I don't need a like to get it poppin', but these bitches in my business cut me out to choosing violence. If you see me out in public, you don't know me, keep it silent. In the bedroom, I be screaming, but outside I keep it quiet. You don't stay on me.
Welcome to Prima Donna News, where we give unbiased commentary about trending topics, as well as expose the propaganda surrounding Robert Kelly. Make sure to hit the like button, share the content, and ensure all notifications are on all in order to get all notifications from our channel.
Now this video is going to serve for a specific purpose, because a lot of people fail to realize, as a blogger, it was never my position to gravitate towards personalities or these celebrities who come out here and used R. Kelly's situations for their benefit, not realizing, or even if they did realize, that this man was not going to be reaping the benefits of the propaganda that was being fueled. With that being said, in the midst of everybody being so fascinated with these jail leaks with Young Thug, and then him coming out here and releasing this sampled music of R. Kelly's I Wish song, it should ring home as to why I've said, if anybody is looking at Young Thug's situation and giving him sympathy because he's crying about how he was so betrayed, and nobody wants to look at, well, let's look at R. Kelly's situation and all the people that we saw on these platforms that claim they were here to help this man, that didn't do diddly squat, while leaning on all of these people portraying themselves as fans, expecting them to do the most, which I clearly put on display that I wasn't gonna do, regardless who felt some type of way, because it was dumb. It was not hard to take the allegations being waged in Surviving R. Kelly, the allegations being waged by Kim Fox and Michael Avenatti, and start to realize all of these moving pieces and to clock all of these people who came and manipulated their storylines, starting with Lisa Van Allen, who came and told the public she was a minor, that fueled all these stories that this man was abusing minor, that they then want to go back and bring back Aaliyah and this so-called tape that this man was acquitted for, and nobody wants to speak out and talk about the corruption and misconduct that went into that structuring these charges. Just like now, while his attorney is missing in action, you got all these people who feel like we should do this, we should do that. And even as people like Young Thug want to sample his music, doesn't it take anybody with common sense to recognize, why not start jumping in these people's comments saying, hey, why don't you go check on this? Why don't you go find out what's going on with this? Because clearly this man's defense came out to the public, told us good people that there is a plot against this man, though we have seen it on public display. And even in the most crucial time, this man is missing in action. There's no paperwork being submitted. Prosecutors are saying they're reaching out to him to no avail. Yet everybody on this platform wants to keep going back and forth about opinions that don't mean diddly squat, when anybody with common sense recognize that ain't what YouTube is for. Duh. So let's take a look at the newest piece of propaganda that was dropped just a day ago. While everybody claims that they have problems with this AI feature that I tend to use because people can't keep their focus off of me, people want to talk about they don't like propaganda, but ain't got nothing to say when it comes to people who are manipulating the information that they could expound on. Somebody make it make sense.
Quit playing. Robert. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me, y'all. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You killing me, man.
That's crazy that he knows your number by heart.
He called for me. That's the only reason why I'm here. Nicole linked up with me. That's why I'm here. Other than that, for the past 10 years, I've been to myself. I've been running my business. I've been doing the shit that I had to do. I have not been involved with any of this shit. Fucked up.
Did you ever sign anything? I'm sure you did.
I have a bank account in his name.
Really?
Yeah. It's SunTrust.
SunTrust is his bank. He loves SunTrust.
I have a whole account in his name, and I hold his money that I can't even touch. It's like at least $4 million in that bitch, and I can't even touch it. And you're telling me everything's okay. Years later, everything's okay. I need you to do this. I need you to say this. You had Nicole reach out to me.
I think people with common sense know exactly what I've been cooking up over here. That's why they get so mad when I bring to y'all attention all the information they didn't have to provide to me, nor did they have to put on open display and try to manipulate when I'm clearly showing you all of the tactics being used to meddle with this man's case on public display and with these witnesses that should now be the focal point.
Kelly didn't just fall from grace. He fell into a prison system that, according to his lawyers, is slowly trying to kill him.
These are people who seek to kill Mr. Kelly.
Word is that R. Kelly got attacked in prison again, and the way this whole thing went down, somebody on the inside wants him gone permanently.
So they say that he woke up, R. Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th, and he felt faint. He was dizzy. He started to see black spots. He got up and he fell.
Let's break this whole situation down for y'all. The hit squad gets exposed. This whole story starts with a dude whose clock was already running out faster than a bodega sandwich. Michael Glenn Stein, some terminally ill cancer patient who was basically the shot caller for the Aryan Brotherhood, had been locked up since '82, building his rep as one of the most dangerous cats in the federal system. Stein had been doing time since 1982 for murder and had a whole history of wilding out, including straight up threatening to assault and kill federal officials back in 2015.
According to documents that R. Kelly's legal team just filed, they are alleging that there is a man, last name Stein, who is a gang leader, a big gang leader, and that he has provided a sworn statement to them that prison officials offered him his freedom to spend his last days free if he would allegedly kill R. Kelly.
But back in February 2023, while this fool was locked up at some Supermax joint in Colorado, Stein claims some real unprecedented stuff went down. According to his sworn statement from May 19th, 2025, he got approached by this BOP official, Rayshay Childress, who had already been putting him up to ordering beatings and straight murders on other inmates. This wasn't their first rodeo. Stein was claiming that over his 13 years bouncing around different federal spots, he'd been putting in work for the BOP in exchange for perks like no cell shakedowns and the green light to move product.
Well, there was an inmate that came forward before, and that stated that he was hired to kill R. Kelly. I don't know if you heard about that. Yeah. I never believed that stuff.
The February 2023 meetup was different though. Childress rolled up unannounced with Warden Gutierrez and Associate Warden Stangl, no guards around, which was mad suspicious and basically screaming that this was some serious business. Knowing Stein was basically already dead man walking with his terminal diagnosis, Childress came through with what you could only call a deal straight from hell. The proposition was simple but wild. Stein was going to get transferred to FCI Butner in North Carolina where R. Kelly was doing his bid, and his job was to straight up murk the fallen R&B king. In return, Stein would catch the charge for the body, but wouldn't get convicted because the evidence would get accidentally lost by officials.
Now, the way that this man says that this was supposed to go down is that he was supposed to kill R. Kelly, allegedly, and then he would get charged for it, and then he alleges that prison officials were going to fumble the evidence and ultimately bury the case. They would then allegedly transfer him to another location where he would be allowed to escape and stay free.
It's just him. It's a few people that when they got these long cases, suddenly they all got plots to murder them and they all want to get out forever.
The reason, according to Stein's paperwork, was straight connected to Kelly's legal moves. Childress was calling Kelly a rapist who had victimized little white girls and somebody the Aryan Brotherhood would want gone. But more importantly, Childress was saying that Kelly's high-priced lawyers were going to expose some damaging information that would hurt high-ranking BOP officers and higher-up DOJ people, basically painting Kelly as a direct threat to the Bureau of Prisons.
So R. Kelly's team is saying that all this is happening because they've been investigating whether R. Kelly's rights were violated throughout the process of his trials, and that they're alleging they recovered some information that they were, and that this information was going to come out. So this is a response allegedly to that.
This exposure supposedly involved crimes that went down during Kelly's investigations, including illegal wiretapping of attorney-client conversations and straight obstruction of justice. According to Kelly's legal squad, these intercepted materials got shared with prosecutors to pressure witnesses, including ex-girlfriend Azriel Clary, to testify against him, leading to his conviction.
These two witnesses, according to these documents, and according to R. Kelly's legal team, were flipped on R. Kelly based on this in-house informant. This in-house informant by the government allegedly went to Azriel Clary, went to LaShonda, showed Azriel Clary some communications that R. Kelly, emails, phone calls with another woman outside of Azriel, because y'all know she was dating R. Kelly. Yeah. And they allege that because of the communications that were shown, he then influenced her to be the government's key witness.
It's just him. It's a few people that when they got these long cases, suddenly they all got plots to murder them and they all want to get out forever.
Stein, who admits to having blood on his hands from way back, initially was down with the plan. The transfer happened mad quick. Within 2 weeks, he got moved from Arizona to FCI Butner on October 17th, 2023, first getting placed in the medical unit until March 2025, when he got moved to Kelly's block. Soon as he touched down in Kelly's unit, some suit reminded him, "You need to handle what you came here for." For weeks, Stein was basically stalking Kelly, following him around the spot and plotting the execution. The setup was perfect. Housed on the same block, Stein had unlimited access to Kelly's daily routine, his weak spots, and the perfect opportunities to make his move. But as time went on, something unexpected started happening in this hardened killer's mind. As a dying man looking back on his violent past, Steiny experienced what he called a change of heart, deciding that killing Kelly to hide misconduct by BOP officers and government officials is something that should not happen. Instead of carrying out the hit on April 11th, 2025, he made a move that would flip everything upside down. Stein walked up to Kelly directly and put him on game. I told him the real. I told him that I had been sent to kill him. I told him how and by who, and I told him his life was absolutely in danger. The revelation must have been terrifying for Kelly, finding out that the dude who had been watching his every move for weeks was actually there to end his life. But Stein switching sides created a whole new problem for the alleged conspirators. Now there were two people who knew about the plot, the target and the hitman who refused to complete his mission. Stein stressed that time was of the essence and offered to take a lie detector test, testify in court, and name witnesses to back up his history of BOP-directed violence.
He says he will take a lie detector test and he will testify if he has to.
He was basically trying to frame his decision as redemption, choosing to expose decades of BOP corruption instead of committing another murder. Lieutenant Teague supposedly kept hitting him up multiple times to pressure Stein to finish the job, but the dying inmate wasn't budging. This defiance was about to put both men in even more danger. The plot got even crazier on June 6, 2025, when Kelly's legal team found out that a second Aryan Brotherhood member at FC
Are being truthful. I don't.
But the wildest development was still coming. Within just 2 days of the motion getting filed and becoming public knowledge, the alleged conspiracy would take an even more sinister turn, as Kelly found himself fighting for his life in a way that nobody could have predicted. The poisoning attempt and the cover-up. The morning of June 13, 2025, started regular for R. Kelly in his solitary cell at FCI Butner. He had been placed in the hole following the filing of his explosive emergency motion just 3 days earlier, officially for his protection, but according to his legal squad, as payback for exposing the alleged murder conspiracy. What went down next would either validate the most serious allegations ever made against the U.S. Bureau of Prisons or represent one of the most elaborate legal strategies ever attempted by a desperate convicted felon. The sequence of events, as detailed in court paperwork, reads like some medical thriller. Kelly woke up feeling lightheaded, dizzy, and seeing black spots. He tried to get up but collapsed, crawling to his cell door before losing consciousness completely. Prison medical staff, unable to treat his condition on site, made the call to rush him by ambulance to Duke University Hospital in Durham, North Carolina.
So they say that R. Kelly woke up allegedly on June 13th and he felt faint. He was dizzy. He started to see black spots. He got up and he fell. He crawled to the door of the cell and he lost consciousness then. At that point, he was placed on a gurney.
But according to Kelly's legal team, this wasn't no medical emergency. This was a straight assassination attempt.
Now, what content creators like this ain't gonna do is come back and give more food to the information they're giving. And that is, the first come around, Bo Brentley came out and made his public announcement. He was given a little leadway because he claimed he had health issues. Never mind that I already put on display the obvious conflict within all of this, considering Bo Brentley was Daryl McDavid's attorney. So how does it make sense that the warden wanted to block Daryl McDavid from visiting R. Kelly, then all of a sudden Daryl McDavid's attorney ends up representing him, leads him to the threshold, puts these allegations out to the public forefront. Then when at the most crucial time comes, he's missing in action. And everybody's on these platforms being distracted by nonsense. Now, the biggest issue I've had dealing with these people on these platforms is the distortion of my purpose. And it's very clear as day that I can volunteer to give you all my research and put out the context clues to all of the information that I provided. I can even go all out and expose some of these behind the scenes conversations that made me come out here and stand on everything that I said and believed. Yet at the end of the day, if I could sit in the comfort of my home and unravel all of these extortion attempts, watch the government try to flip it as though Robert Kelly was trying to intimidate and coerce witnesses, and as we see, the most devastating blow to his case was allowing all of the corruption and misconduct when you had an ineffective counsel in place and people using these platforms like I'm supposed to be a private investigator and ignore the janky ass private investigator that they brought on board that didn't do diddly squat. Yet for some strange reason, when I give you all of these missing pieces that people don't talk about, when I feed you the information coming from the paperwork that would lead me to look at these fraudulent schemes being put on public display and tell you that I think is janky, and then when I watch the government keep trying to act like Robert Kelly sitting behind those bars barking orders to these weird ass people, it don't take a genius why I said maybe it was a blessing and a curse to remove R. Kelly from all these people coming to the platforms talking about I got calls from R. Kelly, I got word from R. Kelly. Meanwhile, the people they playing with on these platforms are making it seem like everything Robert Kelly says is a conspiracy that they played into. Somebody, make this shit make sense. Because at the end of the day, if you actually took the time to listen to what Robert Kelly said, if you take the time to look at the information being provided piece by piece, you would notice that you can't jump into this story and start giving your opinions without knowing all of the history behind these allegations that everybody ignored being used as so-called predicate acts to form this janky RICO. So the $1 million question I got right about now is, where is the money man they brought to YouTube? What could be Bo Brentley's excuse now as to why he's failing to do his job?
His collapse and near-death experience. The timing, just days after the murder plot allegations went public, wasn't no coincidence in their view. His attorney, Bo Brentley, claimed that while in the hole, Kelly was given his usual meds for anxiety and sleep, but was told by prison staff to take an additional dose provided by them. The next morning brought the terrifying symptoms that would land him in the hospital fighting for his life.
He was taken by ambulance to a nearby hospital because they tried to take him to the hospital inside of or associated with the facility that he's in, but they couldn't help him.
At Duke University Hospital, the medical situation became even more alarming. Hospital tests allegedly revealed an overdose of blood pressure and anxiety medications in life-threatening amounts, along with blood clots in both legs and lungs. Conditions Kelly's team said came from BOP taking him off blood thinners despite his medical history. The discovery of blood clots was particularly significant, as these conditions can straight kill you if left untreated. Doctors recommended a 7-day hospital stay and surgery for the clots, but according to Kelly's legal team, this medical recommendation would be ignored in favor of what they characterized as a cover-up. BOP officers allegedly entered Kelly's room and removed him at gunpoint against medical advice, bringing him back to solitary confinement.
His team alleges that it was overheard someone in the ambulance from the hospital say this is going to open a whole new can of worms.
The alleged coldness of this decision cannot be understated. Blood clots in the lungs, known as pulmonary embolisms, are among the most dangerous medical situations a person can face. They can cause sudden death without warning, and the medical standard requires immediate treatment and extended monitoring. Brentley claimed this put Kelly's life in jeopardy, as untreated clots could be fatal. The legal team's response was swift and comprehensive. On June 16, 17, Kelly's team updated their motion, explicitly calling the overdose intentional and part of the ongoing murder plot. Brentley stated they gave him an amount of medicine that could have killed him and connected it directly to the timing, just days after the initial plot allegation.
So according to R. Kelly's legal team in the first filing, and they reiterated in this one, that whole plot to uncover the fact that there were things that were done wrong when it came to, remember I talked about like the flipping of the witnesses and all these things that they're alleging happened. Basically they're saying the government and the prison officials have been covering up the fact that they did whatever they needed to do to convict R. Kelly allegedly.
The allegations went beyond simple medical malpractice. Kelly's team claimed that the entire sequence was captured on prison surveillance cameras, providing what they argued was undeniable proof of their claims. They stated that prison cameras would show Kelly arriving in solitary confinement, showing his usual medications to guards as required, and then receiving the additional medication from staff. Similarly, they argued that hospital records would back up the overdose findings and the premature removal against medical advice. The desperation in Kelly's legal team became evident as they took the unprecedented step of appealing directly to then-President Donald Trump. Brentley requested a presidential pardon, claiming Trump was the only person who can save Kelly's life due to the court's slow pace. This Hail Mary attempt highlighted their belief that traditional legal channels weren't sufficient to protect their client from what they characterized as a systematic attempt on his life.
We did ask the Bureau of Prisons about the allegations. They said they do not comment on pending litigation.
The government's response was characteristically dismissive, but telling in its timing and tone. Prosecutors, led by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jason Julian, filed a response on June 16th, dismissing the claims as a fanciful conspiracy and deeply unserious, arguing they mocked Kelly's victims and that the court lacked jurisdiction to alter his sentence. They noted Kelly's history as a prolific child molester and warned that granting release could set a precedent for every convicted murderer and terrorist. The judicial system's response was equally swift and decisive. On June 20th, U.S. District Judge Martha M. Pacol denied the motion, ruling she lacked authority to grant furlough or home detention, even in extraordinary circumstances, and noted a lack of evidence supporting Kelly's claim.
The message within this video is very simple. While Young Thug is talking about how he was so betrayed again, think about all these people who got on these platforms corroborating information that fueled these janky prosecutors and federal agents' investigation that I clearly said didn't make no sense, and these people should be investigated instead of all these superfans taking it upon themselves, jumping all in the mix, getting offended that I think the shit they did was dumb. At the end of the day, my point remains the same. Did it help free R. Kelly? Is people sampling his music gonna help free him? Is he gonna even get the residuals from people sampling his music? As Young Thug has put out here, many people have contributed to his homecoming. So with that being said, like I told the superfans, maybe if all this janky stuff wasn't being put on public display, a lot of people wouldn't have had an issue privately donating as it was once being reported. At the end of the day, you didn't see these infamous trial vloggers being so engulfed in Young Thug's case. You didn't see them being so engulfed in other people's cases as they were with Robert Kelly. So I'll conclude this video with this simple message. At the end of the day, whose job is it to defend their clients? Whose job is it to properly investigate allegations? And why was it so hard to grasp what I was telling you when I started saying things like abuse of RICO, the corruption that was being overlooked, and all of the misconduct that was going on behind the scenes that people don't want the individuals blogging about the topic to focus on? Now, I don't expect these artists who are bound by some of the same slave contracts to speak out against the corruption. Yet when it comes to common people, the people that are watching these videos on YouTube, it doesn't take a genius to recognize my position when it all is said and done.